Yo, what's up guys, welcome back to another video. This is a reaction to 12 Things Gone Forever from the 1950s, Life in America, and this will be a video that will resonate with very few people, because people from the 50s, I mean, obviously there will be people watching this video that I guess have grown up maybe in the later parts of this era, or even the earlier parts, but few and far between. And I mean, some of these things I'll be fascinated to see if they're sort of even, like, I've even heard about them, to be honest, or if they're, let's just say there's some sort of technology, if they're still used but in a different form now, because obviously they're gone, but maybe it's because you've got mobile phones now which you can do many things on, one of them being one of these things. But yeah, I usually do these reactions to what, like the 70s and 80s. I've never gone this far back, so it's gonna be, I mean, it's always a big contrast, but this will be like, yeah, an even bigger contrast, obviously. But we're going to check this out. Hopefully going to enjoy. If you want more of these sort of look back videos at things that used to be used, or just how the culture was from this time, or just how the world was in these times, how it was growing up and living in these times, let me know in the comments and I'll be sure to do so. And yeah, links are also in the description to my Patreon if you want to see that. But we're going to jump into this and see some of these things that I've probably not seen before, but maybe I have. This is a good amount of time back now.
The X-ray shoe fitting machine, or the fluoroscope.
I have seen this in a previous video, and this is wild, right? Because the X-rays in these times were done completely differently.
Was a common fixture in American shoe stores between the 1930s and the 1950s. In ads, the machines were touted as a new way to check the fit of a shoe. This was thought to guarantee that the shoes would be comfortable. Children's shoes were said to last longer because the fit could be more exact. In the early 1950s, professional medical associations began to issue warnings about the dangers of the exposure. Manufacturers became increasingly worried. States began to ban them from use, and shoe store owners started to phase them out of their stores by the end of the decade.
It probably would have still been used if they managed to sort of work it in a certain way, but I guess it's just quite expensive, right? But for the times, it was quite a good invention. It just, I think it caused a few problems, like radiation and stuff.
Washing machines were a luxury in homes during the 1950s.
Oh, damn.
So many families still did laundry by hand, using a sink, a washboard, and a wringer to remove excess water.
So I've seen these things before, you sort of go through, but I've never actually seen how they work. I guess you just sort of, she twists it and it just rolls it through. That must have taken so long to clean clothes, though.
To dry the clothes, there was the standard outside clothesline that each garment would be pinned to, so that it could be hung out to dry before ironing. Ironing in the 1950s was essential, and most housewives would spend an entire day doing laundry, ironing, and folding clothes so that their family would have clean and fresh clothes to wear each week.
Bruh, spending a whole day doing it all manually sounds like... that does not sound fun.
Many phone companies during the early 1950s still used manual telephone switchboards.
What is that?
And a switchboard operator to connect calls by inserting a pair of phone plugs into the appropriate jacks. Each pair of plugs completed a cord circuit, and it allowed the operator to participate in the call. When a jack would light up, the switchboard operator would know that the telephone had been picked up, and would ask for the name or number. Throughout the decade, phones fully transitioned over to self-service rotary dials that allowed the caller to dial the number directly.
I never knew this was a thing. So you had to speak to someone like in the middle to then link you to another call. What the hell?
Without the help of an operator.
Wow.
Between the 1920s and 1950s, the twin-lens reflex camera dominated the roll film camera world, with just about every major camera maker building a version of the camera. The TLR employed two lenses, arranged one above the other. The 45-degree mirror accounted for the word reflex, and the twin lens arrangement was designed to give Dad a viewfinder to see the image he was about to take. These cameras were fascinating for kids. Many were even handed down, with kids remembering fondly practicing their photography skills using the camera.
Bruh.
How many of us remember practicing cursive on the blackboard at school? The elegantly connected letters made all of us feel more grown up, and it felt like a rite of passage as we entered the 3rd grade. The art of penmanship was a necessity, and what better way to practice than by standing at the front of the classroom, demonstrating your skills in front of everyone. As typewriters and later computers became a more efficient way to communicate, this practice of writing cursive on a blackboard seems to be a distant memory, but one that instantly takes you back to grade school in your mind.
I could have definitely done with this, man, because my handwriting is shocking. My handwriting is probably the worst handwriting you will ever see, and it's never been good. Like my P's, I'll try and keep it all on the line, but there's just different sizes. One P will be this small and then big, and it is not good, man. I'm not gonna lie.
The iconic soda fountain is a classic symbol of the 1950s. These gathering places were usually located in drugstores and were not only a place to share a malt, but they were often the epicenter of social life in some communities. As car culture picked up and drive-in restaurants became the norm, soda fountains experienced a sharp decline. Not only was fast food a factor in soda fountains disappearing, but soda also became widely available to pick up at a grocery store. Even though soda fountains didn't survive past the 1950s, they still conjure up some powerful memories.
Fair enough, soda fountains, what the hell?
During the 1950s, owning a set of the Encyclopedia Britannica was a status symbol. These books were a major investment.
Oh, this is like a flex. This is like having a, I don't know, a Rolex watch now. Maybe not to that extreme, but I guess a book a month. The hell?
Families paying in installments before they were fully owned. For kids growing up in the 1950s, it seemed you could find the answer to everything within the pages of this dense library of information. It also wasn't uncommon to see an Encyclopedia Britannica salesman walking door to door down your street.
Oh, damn.
The 1950s may have been when your family first got a brand new television.
So at this point in time, was there only just like one channel on TV? It probably was like that, wasn't it?
But this new form of entertainment was limited by networks that provided programming and the ability to receive a television signal. To help with this, TVs needed an antenna, and to amplify a weak reception, many dads would wrap their bunny ears with some tinfoil and slowly adjust them until the picture could be seen.
Wow. Jeez, man.
During the middle of the 20th century, college students would often participate in pranks on campus. One of these popular pranks was called a Panty Raid, which saw a group of college males invading the dorms or sororities of female students.
Oh, damn.
Panties and other intimate apparel were sought as trophies,
Wow.
proof that the guys had momentarily crossed the forbidden territory of a co-ed's bedroom. Soon, the changing attitudes about sex and rule changes on college campuses led to the end of the Panty Raid as an organized activity.
That is wild.
For young people, trying silly challenges has been around forever.
What the fuck? The person at the bottom is getting suffocated, man. Oh, that would not be fun. The person at the bottom is getting destroyed.
Phone booth stuffing was definitely a brief fad during the late 1950s. Legend has it that a group of 25 South African students managed to cram themselves into a single phone booth.
Oh my
and
days.
as word of this spread across the country, young Americans couldn't help but try it. Rules for the challenge varied, with some requiring everyone to be totally inside the booth, while others allowed legs and arms to stick out. It was a bonus if someone could also complete a phone call while everyone was piled in. Within a year, the trend of phone booth stuffing lost its momentum and faded away.
God damn.
The 1950s became synonymous with the rise of classic cars, but it was
No seatbelts in cars. Well, the thing is, in Eastern Europe, or where I was in Romania, seatbelts, you have to wear them sitting in the front, but sitting in the back seats, you don't have to wear seatbelts. So whenever we'd get like a taxi or whatever, or even just in my girlfriend's dad's car, there's no seatbelts in the back of the seat because they can just take them out. and it was weird because I don't really not want to wear a seatbelt, so I'm just like, okay, this is a bit weird, but yeah, no seatbelts obviously in these times would it makes sense. I guess they were added in this era. That's what it's saying, but maybe not.
Was also the last decade that new cars were sold without
Oh,
seatbelts.
there we go.
As injuries and deaths from car accidents increased, seatbelts were tested as a way to make cars safer. But in the 1950s, drivers had nothing strapping them into the front seat, which added to the freedom that they felt as they cruised down the road with the wind in their hair.
Bruh, I don't have any urge to not wear a seatbelt, man. That's just me. Maybe I've been programmed to feel like that, but you're gonna go flying out your car. I mean, it's not like you're gonna survive with a seatbelt, but just certain things, it's definitely gonna help you. You know. Fuck it, this is the era, right? That's how it was.
The 1957 Chevy Bel Air may very well be the single most iconic automobile of the 1950s. The Bel Air was transformed in 1957 into one of the most gorgeous roadsters around. Some referred to this car as the poor man's Cadillac, but not even a Cadillac could rival this one-of-a-kind car.
If someone had this car now, it's still like the same not the same condition, but the same car as it was 70 years ago. But obviously, I guess they've kept it well. It'd probably be worth like millions, right? I'm not good with car prices, but if a car from this long ago, and I guess this was like again the car of the century. That's so loud outside. I'm sure the price would have jumped up to crazy amounts because it's going to be so rare to find one. Even if you that's if you can find one. I assume there are these cars around, but
the popularity of the car has made it a highly sought-after classic car that is frequently used in movies, television, and music. The 1957 Chevy Bel Air remains, to this day, an automotive icon.
Well, there we go. And it's also before Chevrolet had that annoying ass sign that they have.
If you enjoyed this,
because the flipping sign they have now is, I don't know, it's just massive. Plus, I know that because the sports team that I support, the football team that I support, used to have the sponsor, and it was flipping huge on the shirt. Things gone forever. Class, civility, responsibility for one's actions, pride in the job. Well done. The biggest thing I miss are the manners and self-dignity. I don't know. I can't really look back in these times. I have no idea what it was like in terms of the world, but it was a great time when people acted normal. Whilst sitting in their phone boxes, squishing themselves. I'm sure there are a lot of better things, but there's still downsides to it. Every era there's downsides, right? But again, I don't know. Damn. All of these things, but yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this reaction. It's just cool to look back on this stuff. I don't take the comments too serious, you know what, because people are always gonna have biases to their eras or whatever it is. But yeah, this is a fascinating look into it, and yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. If you want more of this stuff, let me know. I'm gonna probably do it anyway. But yeah, until next time, like, subscribe. Peace.